you never know when the last time you're going to speak to that person is. And I always say, like, I wish I talked to that person more. I wish I truly appreciated and valued being present in this moment with this person instead of thinking about the next thing I have to do or the next
Mm-hmm.
plan I have to go to. The work will always be there. The people will not be. So enjoy the now. Enjoy being here with this person. Welcome to Twin Spin, the show hosted by us, the Neo Twins. We've shared a birthday, childhood, and now a podcast together. We talk about the stuff that's hard to name but impossible to ignore: growth, identity, creativity, and change. It's part catch up, part soul searching, and all about becoming who we're meant to be, all with a twist of twin.
Leon, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good. Can't complain. How about yourself, bud?
Doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. I was gonna say we have a nice new look for season 2 here.
Yes. A very nice studio for season 2 of our podcast. I can't believe we've already done an entire season.
I know, right? Time
It's-
flies.
Yeah.
One of the things that we're changing up for this season, in addition to the look, is instead of doing solo episodes, we're actually doing the mini episodes together now.
Yeah.
We're actually having just a sit down chat about just various things that we've learned from our lives, topics that we know, not only resonate with us, but hopefully will resonate with others as well. And today, that topic for this mini episode of ours is the importance of rest and recharging. We have sort of 3 key lessons here that we've learned along the way, especially, in these past few years. We've learned. We gotten really up close with this lesson and really have seen the way that it's transformed our lives.
Absolutely.
So let's just dive right in,
Yeah.
why don't we?
Let's do it.
All right,
Let's
so
do
the
it.
First, sort of components of this lesson that we learned is that rest is a crucial component of the creative process.
100%.
And I think this is a lesson that we learned right after we finished making Bordered. Right?
Yeah.
We were making the show for 3.5 years, and we tried diving into the next thing, and we just felt so burnt out.
We really did.
Yeah.
We really did. I feel like we even got to a point where we kind of started to resent creative filmmaking or creative making at all.
Yeah, the process.
The
We
process.
were just it
Yeah.
was starting to feel more like a chore
Yeah.
than something that we actually wanted to do.
Yeah. And like, I mean, prior to the COVID pandemic, which is when we really had this, epiphany of sorts, we were, really just keeping the hustle going 24/7. We had, even when we were in high school, we were making movies during the summer. High school, going into college, we had a wedding videography business where we would film weddings and then we would edit them, provide them to the client. And then we would do like videos for like entrepreneurs, music videos for creatives, you name it. And we just never really gave ourselves a chance to really just relax and take a breather, because I feel like we were on a mission to get someplace by a certain time, and we just wanted to do whatever we could to expedite that process. But it all really caught up with us, especially during COVID and after making the web series.
Oh,
Bordered.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I think, I know that we made a very conscious choice after Border to take 2 years off from filming. I mean, I know that you're a video editor, I'm a producer, so
Yeah.
professionally, we were still very much being creative, but as far
Right.
as our personal projects, when we took a 2-year break,
Yeah.
and I remember that was very frightening for us when we first thought, okay, let's step away, because I know that we had seen so many of our friends,
Yes.
say that they were going to step away for a little bit, and then 1 year became 2, 2 became 4, 4 became 6, and so many of those folks never found their way back.
Yeah.
Whether it was because of something that they did or an accentuating circumstance that just pulled them away
Yeah.
from being creative. So I know we were hesitant for a very long time that if we take this break, will we actually come back?
And I think, to add on to what you said there, Andrew, I feel like especially as a creative, and I know you've brought this up before, so much of our value, I feel like, is determined by our output. How much we're putting out there
Yeah.
again and again and again, year after year after year. And so the idea of taking a break and pressing the pause button on our journey, that really made me feel like and this was all the more amplified by the pandemic of like, who is Ariane Nuno when he's not a filmmaker? You know, who is he when he's not a creative,
Mm-hmm.
putting content out there 24/7, you know, or trying to get something made 24/7, or being in meetings all the time. And so it really got me to re look at my life and see all the things that I've been pushing to the side because of just like this tunnel vision I had of just getting to that goal no matter what it took. And so that's what I would add to what you said, is that on top of already the fear of not coming back if you took the break, it's just like, who are you when you're not doing creative work all the time?
Yeah, and actually, I think that point you just said is a very nice segue, sort of into point two, which is avoiding burnout and sustaining long-term creativity. You know,
Mm,
we took our time, we rested for 2 years. Last year, we started coming back and working on a new project, and by the time that this episode comes out, we will pretty much be done with this new project. But I think it's important to not only think about taking those rest periods from your passions, but when
yeah.
you jump back in to your passion, especially if it's a creative one, really thinking of the ways that you don't experience burnout when you've come back.
Yeah.
And I know that for us, something that's been really, really important is setting boundaries, understanding where your energy is at. Because I remember, especially when we were in the early days of pre-production on Final Frame, our next short. I mean, oh my God, it was so overwhelming. I remember thinking like, oh yeah, this is why we took a 2 year break from filming. Because it's like we had like no lives.
Lives. Yeah.
We, especially preparing for that first shoot day when we were coming back from
Which
4 years of not filming
And
anything.
we could not have asked ourselves for a more challenging, more nonstop first day back into short film filmmaking than what that 14-hour film day required, not just out of us, but out of our cast and our crew. I mean, it was, what was it, like 38, 39 scenes that we had to
Well, yeah, it
film?
started off as 38, became 39
39.
scenes by the end of the
13
shoot
costume
day.
changes, 7 locations. But I mean, I really have to hand it to the team. Like, we had a lot of calls weeks in advance. We thought of just so many different scenarios that could have gone down. And because I think it was because of that prep that we were able to just move the way that we did. Yeah, but I I definitely agree with you of like, oh yeah. So this is what it's like, especially when it's multiplied all the more so because of all that we had to do on that very first day.
Yeah, and I think sort of the big lesson that we learned coming back into filmmaking again is that we learned how to work smarter, not harder. We
Yeah,
learned like, oh yeah, we don't have to both be on every single call that happens.
yeah,
You can take a call solo. I can take a call solo. Like, if you've got something that you want to do this night and I have a free night, well, you can just go do your thing, and I'm gonna, hang back and do what I got to do. And so, I think really having a more honest discussion about boundaries and taking a break
yeah.
when you need to, and also accepting that, there's just gonna be some days where life just is not allowing you to be creative, and that's okay. That is no one's fault. That
Hmm.
is not your fault. That is not my fault. That is just accepting that adult life sometimes is just not compatible with what you got to get done that day.
Yeah, exactly. Your best looks different every single
Hmm.
day. And that was a really hard thing for me to grasp at first because I felt like I and I don't do this anymore, but I would plan like these are my rest days during the week. Here are the days that I'd be productive. And
Hmm.
despite how much I planned meticulously those days, there's a day where I would just wake up and I just be like, I'm just not feeling productive today. I'm just not feeling up to it, you know. And on top of that, like we've spoken a lot about, my history with anxiety, depression, obsessive compulsive disorder, and especially with depression, that can be a challenge because sometimes it just shows its face whenever it wants to and doesn't necessarily need to have a reason why. It just shows up and like if your body's telling you something, listen to it. Don't try to push it, or think you can just push through. Like, give yourself grace and listen to it. And like you can always move that, creative work day to another day in the week, but just listen to your body first. And especially throughout these past few years, I have done that a lot more and have felt a lot better because of that.
Yeah, and I think to that point, it's like I feel like something, at least for me, that I've learned to stop doing is to stop shaming myself
Mm, yeah.
if I can't, write the script today, or if I mean, right, it's everyone's favorite thing, right? Applying for permits or insurance applications,
It's a
you know.
filmmaker's favorite
I know,
pastime.
right? It
It's
sounds
just
so fun. It sounds
yes,
so fun, but
yes. It's so much fun.
yeah, but it's like not blaming myself that if I just don't have the energy,
Yeah.
or if something's come up with a friends or a family
Mm,
member, understanding that it's like, and I think this is one of the big lessons that we took from our break is that those things matter more. At the end of the day, it's just a creative project. It's a movie. It's a play. It's whatever you're working on, and it's definitely important, and there definitely should be a focus on it. But it's not the end all be all, you
yeah.
know. And so I think that really changed things for us about sustaining long term creativity, avoiding burnout,
Yeah.
finding a
Yeah.
sustainable way to keep creativity going. And I think, one of the things that we learned that sort of led into that is our third point here, which is the importance of play and leisure
Mm,
for creative inspiration.
yes.
And I remember
Yes.
when we took, those 2 years off and we were traveling all over the place and we were hanging with friends and we were catching up with family and we're just like, oh yeah, there's this whole second half
Well, there's a thing to
to
it
life
all.
that we just been kind of ignoring,
Ignoring. Yeah.
just
Yeah.
diving into the next thing. And I remember, I mean, the final frame, this short film that we're doing is literally a direct result of those 2 years that we took off.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And I didn't realize how necessary, you know, play and leisure was a part of it all. Like especially during the time off, seeing just what it was like to take a breather. Like I even said to myself, I think during one of our trips that we took, of like saying to myself, like, this is what taking a breather feels like. This is what I should be doing more of, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
Because yeah, like yes, it's great to have goals and to be ambitious and to have all these things to aspire to do, but also that's not all that life is. Life is also more about, your family, your friends, the people in your life that I know you and I have said many times make life worth living. These relationships that are people that you can go to whenever you need help or need someone to talk to or someone to just rant to, and they'll be just there to listen. You know, like those are the kinds of things that I want to take um, more priority of in my life and improving those relationships. And this 2 year break from filmmaking really made me realize how much I wasn't putting those things as much forward in my life as I should have been, because I was just so, like, oh my God,
Yeah, and to that point, I think that especially for anyone who's a creative, when you allow yourself that time to take a break, to experience joy, to have fun, you never know how that can create inspiration
yeah,
as
yeah,
a result. I think people think that like inspiration sometimes has to come from like sitting down with a notepad, in this,
yeah,
like dimly lit corner in a room at
yeah,
midnight, and you have to just
yeah,
keep writing things down on the notepad until something happens. And I know that for us, especially when we were trying to figure out how to come back, we were trying to do that. We were trying to just like force an idea,
you can't force
and you
creativity.
can't force it. You
No,
can't force it. And I think that was one of the gifts that for us at least, going out there and just experiencing life gave us, is that inspiration happens when it wants to happen. It doesn't happen when you want it to happen. It happens when it wants to
mm-hmm,
happen. And
yeah,
when you open yourself up and you go out there and you experience life and you experience joy, it can lead to all these unexpected bursts of inspiration. You know, I remember like last year when we were getting ready to go out to Milwaukee Pride, for example.
I remember that day.
And you
Yes,
guys were like
yes.
ready to go out, and it was like right there, like you know, the first 2 pages of the script hit me, and I was literally telling you guys like, wait, just
Wait,
hold
yeah,
up,
yeah,
like
yeah,
I know we're ready to go, but it's like let me get these 2 pages out, you know, then
yeah,
we'll party, then we'll have a good time, but like just let this happen to me, you
yeah,
know, and that's just from us just allowing ourselves to just exist in the world and just living
hmm,
and letting the inspiration find us as a result.
yeah, yeah. I love that you brought that up, all of that up just now, because yeah, especially when if you just try to like force creativity out of you, it very rarely does it ever actually end up happening the way you want it to. It's when you actually go out there and live life and gain new experiences and grow with the people in your life that's usually when, on top of making memories with those people, when another idea could come to you
Yeah.
as well,
Yeah, play and leisure can be, you know, two of the most important things that happen to a creative as far as their inspiration
Hmm.
process. You know, it's not just enjoying life, it's creating experiences, creating memories that can very possibly lead to that next thing
Yeah.
that you end up doing.
Yeah, exactly. On top of that, I also say to myself, like, you know, where I want to go will come to me in time. I may not know exactly when or how or where it will happen, but I trust that it will happen as long as I still keep, a steady pace, but also make time for play and leisure and growing with the people that I have in my life.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. Could have said it better myself.
Oh, thank you.
And so to recap here, you know, as we talk about the importance of rest and recharging, the three sort of central points that we just discussed.
Yeah.
Rest is a crucial component of the creative process. I mean, we were trying to go for, you know, almost 10 years just making the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, and it was not
Yeah. It
good
just blew up in our faces.
for us. And you know, I know we were just talking with a producer friend of ours recently who she also expressed a very similar thing, that you know, she took time off as well, and she said that it was like the best thing that she could have done for herself. It's just allowing herself the freedom to rest. And it can be very scary. It can be, especially when there are people looking, you know, your way. You want to show them like what you can do, but sometimes rest is the best thing that you can do.
Yeah.
So rest is a crucial component of the creative process. Avoiding burnout and sustaining long-term creativity. You know, creating strategies for yourself to prevent burnout, whether it's scheduling breaks, setting boundaries, understanding your personal energy levels, where they're at. And then point three, the importance of play and leisure for creative inspiration, understanding that living life, giving yourself a break, experiencing life, that sometimes can be the best thing you can do to yourself in order to let inspiration find you.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, to add on to the recap that you just gave of the 3 points that we talked about, the last thing I'll add is, in the end, the work will always be there.
Amen.
It will always be there. Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
the people in your life, we can't say the same thing, unfortunately.
Mm,
And I've experienced, some loss in the past, year and a half.
yeah.
And you never know when the last time you're going to speak to that person is. And I always say, like, I wish I talked to that person more. I wish I truly appreciated and valued being present in this moment with this person, instead of thinking about the next thing I have to do or the next
Hmm.
plan I have to go to. And so those instances of loss really got me to think about, like, why am I so caught up in my head about work?
Hmm.
The work will always be there. The people will not be. So enjoy the now, enjoy being here with this person or whoever you're sharing space with, and just take a deep breath. you know,
Yeah.
enjoy this moment. Because they won't always be here. Unfortunately, we may not even be here. Something
Oh
could
yeah.
happen tomorrow, for all I know.
Asteroid just comes and destroys planet Earth.
It could. It honestly could. Wait,
I was
asteroid falls to Earth, or I get hit by a truck. I don't know.
Hopefully you don't.
I mean,
Hopefully you
I
don't.
hope not either.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I can't predict life.
yeah.
But yeah, just enjoy the present that life gives us by just being present,
Mm-hmm.
being here and now. Because today's a gift.
Today really is a gift.
Yeah. So that's my last point that I'll add.
Yeah, yeah. And whether you're creative, whether you're not a creative, resting and recharging, I mean, we as humans need it.
Yeah.
We cannot just, I mean, it's the reason we sleep. It's the reason we need,
Yeah.
your recommended 7-8 hours of sleep, every night. Because, even in a day, you need your time to rest and recharge. And so the same goes for life. And so hopefully you all learned something from these 3 points that we discussed. And yeah, I'm looking forward to having more of these talks with you.
Yeah, likewise, buddy. Likewise. We appreciate you so much for being here for this episode of Twin Spin. If something resonated with you, pass it along to someone else who might need it too. And if you're navigating something big in life right now, just know you're not alone. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next spin.